Welcome back to part 2. Now, we're going to actually look at examples about comparing fractions to decimals. So it's actually related to what we did with renaming them. So let's go ahead and look at these two examples. Again, please pause this video and try it on your own and then resume the video. So number 1, 2/3 or 0.3. What's bigger? In this case, we're going to have to divide 2 divided by 3. So let's go ahead and do that first. 3 goes into 2 0 times 3, 0. 2 minus 0 is 2. Now we're going to have to annex zeros here. So add a decimal point and a 0. Bring down the 0 here. 3 goes into 26 times. 6 times 3 is 18. 20 minus 18 is 2. Make another 0. And you might have noticed this is turning into a pattern. It's the same thing that we just said, right? Because 3 goes into 26 times again. And we can already tell that this is going to be a repeating decimal. So again, we have 2 digits after the decimal point here. Same thing here. We can safely say that this is a repeating decimal. This is the sign. So 2/3 is actually 0.666666666 infinity, right? So what's bigger? This is how we compare. So first look at the whole number. Always start with the whole number. So both of the whole numbers here are zeros. 0 and 0. They're the same. Now go on to the tens place. 6 or 3. What's bigger? 6 is bigger. So 2/3 or 0.66 is greater than 0.3. Let's go ahead and do number 2. 95 hundredths or 0.75. So if you remember, if you can look at the shortcut here, the denominator is a power of 10, 100. So we can actually put 95 in the hundredths place in a decimal. So this becomes 0.95. Now, same thing, start with the whole number. So 0 and 0. What's bigger? Well, they're the same. Now look at the tens place. 9 and 7. What's bigger? 9 is bigger. Therefore, 95 out of 100 is bigger than 0.75. Great. Finally, let's go ahead and look at some word problems. Number 1. What was its average speed in miles per hour if a train traveled 1,200 miles in 2.5 hours? Don't forget the units. Okay, it could be a little bit confusing because there's a lot of unsure words here. Well, average is the first word that we need to understand what the meaning of. And it says we're looking for the speed, miles per hour. So that's like how many miles can a train travel in 1 hour? So when it says mile per hour, it's essentially asking the question, how many miles can a train travel in 1 hour? And that's what we're trying to find. It says per, think of 1 hour. Okay? So we know that this particular train can travel 1,200 miles in 2.5 hours. Now we're just trying to find out, okay, we know how much it can travel in 2.5 hours, but how about just 1 hour? Now we can solve this by actually dividing the number of miles by the time, because we're trying to find how much it can go in 1 mile, which is the unknown variable. And we know that, actually, sorry guys, I think that will be even more confusing. So let's just go ahead and do the division. 1,200 miles divided by 2.5 hours. So we have a decimal divisor, so we have to turn this into a whole number. How can we turn 2.5 into a whole number? By moving the decimal to the right 1 time. So that becomes 25. we got to do the same thing here. Remember, there's always an invisible decimal at the end of every whole number. So we're going to move it to the right one time, add a 0. So this is essentially, our new problem is 12,000 divided by 25. So go ahead and try that on your own. So 25 goes into 120 4 times. 4 times 25, that's like 4 quarters. So it's 100. 120 minus 100 is 20. Bring down that 0. 25 goes into 200 8 times. 8 times 25 is 200. And bring down the 0. Okay, so we got 480, and that is our answer. So remember that for the units, you're gonna actually have to read the question again. So it's asking what was the average speed in miles per hour. So how many miles can it travel in 1 hour? 480 miles. Again, thank you guys for being so patient with me. I know it's really slow to show everything on the virtual whiteboard, but you're doing great. Let's go ahead and do the next problem. Erin's ballet class cost $336.50 for 4.5 weeks. Then how much do the classes cost per week? So again, think of this as 1 week. So if it costs this much in 4.5 weeks, how much would it cost in 1 week? Yes, that's right. We do have to divide again. So we're going to be doing 336.50 divided by 4.5. We got a decimal divisor again. So let's go ahead and change this to a whole number. Bring the decimal point ones to the right. That becomes 45. Do the same thing here. The decimals are here this time. So it's actually going to be 3,365.0, but that's the same thing as just 3,365. So we don't have to write the 0. It's the same thing. Okay? All right, let's go ahead and solve this problem. 45 goes into 336 7 times. 7 times 45 is 315. 6 minus 5 is 1. 3 minus 1 is 2. Bring down the 5 here. 45 goes into 215. 4 times, sorry about that, that's a 4. 4 times 45, we got 180. When we subtract that, we got a borrow here, so this becomes 11. 11 minus 8 is 3. Okay, now we got to annex to 0. We can actually stop here because it says round to the nearest tens place. So we're at the tens place here. So let's finish this off. 45 goes into 350, 7 times again. And yeah, so the answer is, I know it looks like a 9, but remember it's a 4. 79.7. It says round to the nearest tens. So about this much. And because it's an American dollar, we're just going to add a 0 here. $74.70 per week. That's an expensive ballet class. Okay, thank you guys so much for your attention, and I hope that this video helped. And this is what the test looks like. Remember to write your name before you begin. And yeah, this is the test. It's basically everything we just talked about. Just yeah, if you have any questions or anything like that, make sure to contact me, and I wish you the best of luck, and I will see you next time. We have Zoom tomorrow, don't forget. We have Zoom on Friday at 3 p.m. Bye!